What's up, guys? It worked. Wasn't the best video I've ever seen, but it did have a lot of useful information in it, so I'm going to go ahead and publish it. And I'm going to follow up with just a little bit more. I think it's going to be a little bit shorter than the last one. It was almost half an hour. So, yeah, I guess I could have talked for about 3 hours on this instead of about 20 minutes or so. It's what it felt like. It was like 45 seconds that I was talking up there. I was so nervous, and was trying to get used to the new MacBook, which I'm continuing to do here. So things aren't quite as fluid as I wish they would be, but I have to force myself to use this trackpad, you know what I mean? So we're going to pick up right where we left off. I'm going to turn this up. I think I'm going to cut the volume on this just a little bit because in some places they were overwhelming. And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to turn our chords we were working on in the last one down. And I want to show you a little bit of the harmonic element of the update here. That would be your stacks generator. On its face, honestly, I wasn't really that crazy about it. I liked it, but I'm going to get into how it works. I'm going to show you a little bit of some tricks to make it work better. So you have a chord selection pad here. This lets you switch through a bunch of chord shapes. We're gonna stop the rest of our sounds here and come back to this. You know what? I'm going to use a totally different sound here. So I'm just going to turn this off, and I'm going to duplicate our Analog Lab here. By the way, this is Analog Lab from Arturia. The reason why I wanted to use this in this presentation is, for me, it's easier to switch between the presets, and there's a lot of presets, than it is to switch between the presets in Ableton Live native instruments. Well, not native instruments. The Ableton Live built-in instruments. It's just the way that your browser hierarchy works. It's a little bit less fast, and the point with this was to show you like pretty much random ways that you can develop inspiration when you don't have any. So we'll go back here. What we're going to do with this is we're going to change its color, and we're going to assign track color to clips so that it is God, that's ugly. That's a really ugly color. Make it a little bit less confusing, you know. So yeah, see, it's me getting used to the trackpad. Still ugly, but it's going to have to do. So this is the one that I just did. It's a duplicate, so it's playing the same thing. Command Option P there. Hide or bring up your plugin. And we do not want a sequence. Let's try an organ. Just a random organ here. We're just going to pick it at random. And then we're going to find something that's a little bit easier to deal with. Organ's a little too bright. Should have less attack. Command Option P, make it go away. Bring this volume down a little bit so you can hear me talk. And let's go back to our clip. Let's delete these. It took me a while to realize that if you look down here, whenever you're adjusting, it's going to tell you what the chord is, what the actual chord shape is. It's a C minor ninth right there. Take it up a little bit, take it down a little bit. Now, because I had a 1 bar clip and I didn't have anything selected, it just filled the whole bar with that. And what happens, you can add multiple chords to these stacks. So add another one, it just splits the amount of time in half. Add another one, splits it into thirds. Now that we clicked out of it, if we add another one, let's see, this is a little bit cantankerous. And I found that with all of these things is it takes a while to get used to using them. You know, you just got to spend time with them. But you also got to understand what I'm about to show you here is that there was a term for it. I've heard them use it to describe what it is. It's like a modification cycle, and as long as you don't click off of your clip, that modification cycle is still active. So anytime you change something, it's going to change everything. Now, see, and that's a behavior that I don't understand. It's like reverting back to them. And, you know, that was upon my first exposure with this generator. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like, you can just pull up some chords, but it's, I don't know, it's not that, it can help you figure out what chords are and what some of these shapes are, but it's like really not that useful. Well, that's the thing. You're like looking at it the wrong way. So let's make this clip a little bit longer. Let's make it 8 bars instead of 1. It's the same thing I showed you with the other one. If you highlight a range and then you draw it in, it's just going to draw that clip in that range. I think that this is a lot more useful, okay? Because we are in scale awareness, it's going to stay in key right now. The behavior changes when you turn it off. Oh yeah, you also have inversions. So it's just going to play the same key in different, or it's going to play the same chord in different octaves. So sometimes there's more inversions available than others. And because I'm in the same modification cycle there, or whatever it's called, whenever I click up or down on this chord, it's changing between inversions, okay? Same with left and right. You got to click off of it. Now you can move it around if you want. Just get out of here. So, to me, that adds a lot of functionality to this. Command Option J is join to region. What I wanted to do is just create one continuously long chord to show you an example of something else that you can do with this. Now you got an 8-bar long chord, you know? That kind of thing might be useful if you're making some kind of a drone, or if you're making drone music. You know, you can make it as long as you want. You can go up here and duplicate it. Now you got 2 of them that are 8 bars long. We'll undo that. You can come down here to pitch and time, and you can double it. Command L. Command Alt. Command L. Adjust the loop. Now it's 16 bars long. Double it again. Now it's 32 bars long. Command Alt, Command L. It's looped at 32 bars. You want to make some drone, you know, that's super useful, but that's not the point that I was going to show you with that. We're going to go to transform. One of the things we've added here, arpeggiate. Functions exactly the same as the MIDI arpeggiator, but the difference is whenever you apply it, you can see the notes. You don't have to record the notes. Totally random, okay? Random arpeggiator, 2 steps, distance of 12 semitones. Changing the distance, giving it a little bit more range. Make the notes shorter, make the notes longer. Increase the number of steps. So like what I'm trying to show you with these things is the point of them is like, you know, you don't have to use the functions the way they tell you have to use them, you know? Like we just took a long chord, populated a bunch of notes using an arpeggiator. Let's do this like totally random. Yeah, that's what I want. Bam, 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 bam. We got a lot of notes. And you happen to have them all selected. Like that's a lot of MIDI information there. Okay. Go back up to pitch and time. Let's make more. Let's make more. Let's make more. Let's make a shitload of notes. It's starting to sound like noise. I do have a point to this. Now, if you were to take this selected thing and start to push up and down on your arrow keys, it's just going to move it up and down. Now, you have to get out of it first because it's still in the select cycle, you know, so. Not, oh, yeah, I guess it's out of the select cycle, but I was on volume over there. Sorry, guys. If you grab all of these and you start to move them up and down, they're just going to step up and down and go out of scale. And if you fit them to scale, they're going to become more homogenized because it's going to take it to whatever's closest. You know what I mean? So like, we'll go back to where we were. If you want to keep the same kind of structure that you developed and move it up and down, you can use this over here. It's going to keep everything relative to one another, and they're not going to become as homogenized. You know? Cool. It's interesting, right? It's more interesting. Let's select all these things. And I just need this to be denser, right? So let's have this. Now they're playing a lot of notes even faster. Let's loop that. Command Alt, loop. Now we're back down to 8 bars, right? It's a little bit high. Let's get a little bit more volume. We went from having a pad to just like white noise, like a creek or something, you know? Let's change our. And if you notice, be careful when you're running this on your computer. It might make your CPU shit the bed because we got a lot of notes playing. We got a lot of polyphony going on. If you look at that keyboard there. There we go. Changes a lot depending on whatever the preset is, right? So I'm gonna go in here, and why that's useful to like constrain this thing but still keep the overall structure is like you can take this and then you go back over here to this transpose area. You can condense it even further, so it's more like it's in a harmonic range. It's whatever, you know, is useful to you. Like at this point, we're not even thinking about this like notes really. It's just kind of like data, you know. So like, and we can select that again. Bring the pitch up. Smack my bitch up. I'm not a domestic abuser. That's an old It's an old track from the 90s, right? You can grab some of it, like, so you want to make some form of a progression. Just grab, like, a little bit of it, move it up and down. So, you know, we went from creating a chord to creating an arpeggio to creating this sound effect, all just by modifying the notes that we generated totally at random, you know? And really what I'm trying to show you with this is that you need to spend some time exploring these functions and come up with uses for yourself, you know? But just remember, you got to click off of what you have selected whenever you want to do something that's not going to affect the whole clip. Oh, there's another thing I wanted to show you with all these. Let's select all of them. Bring their chance way down. There we go. Now you have a totally random scenario where they're only playing certain notes at random, and there's only a 32% chance it's going to play. Let's take it down even further. It gets a lot more useful, isn't it? See, like, you want to look at this stuff like it's always fluid, and you just want to select what you want to affect and move back and forth between transform, generate, and pitch and time functions, you know? It's not static anymore. You don't have to get in here and click around. Like, literally, if I wasn't talking to you guys, I could have did all of this stuff in like 5 minutes if I wasn't trying to explain it, you know? That's how fast these things are. So you just kind of got to think about how you approach them, you know what I mean? So what else could you do with this? For example, let's go back to time warp. One thing I didn't tell you about time warp is you can add up to 3 warp points. So the one in the middle is going to flux the middle in and out. See, that was pretty cool. Over here, remember, did you hear that? So let's loop it there. Now you can just change your loop point. You want less? Select that stuff and hit 0. Want it back? Hit 0 again. You want less lower pitches? Hit 0. You know what I mean? Like, utilize these things to fill in data really rapidly, and you're going to end up getting results that you never would have thought of because you're doing it without thought, basically, is what I'm saying. What do we got? What else can I show you? Make a bass line. Command Option. Command Shift T. Sorry. I'm not used to telling everybody all the key commands all the time yet, you know? So let's do Command F. Super useful. Analog Lab. We want bass. Pick something at random. Clear and present. I don't know what that sounds like. We might have to select another one. Command Option P makes it go away. Drop a new clip in there. Make it 2 bars long. Go back down to generate. We haven't looked at seed yet. Seed is a primarily melodic, I would think. It just kind of puts in a random pitch range, duration. You can constrain your pitch, duration, and velocity here on these sliders, the number of voices that happen at once and the density that they occur. So this is a good start for a bass line. G0 to G2, 32nd notes to 8th notes. Now when I change it, it starts to populate. It's filling up the whole thing. Let's make the grid a triplet. Bring the velocity up at the bottom. What do we got? Again, at its face value, it's not super useful, right? Go back in this clip. Hey, delete all that shit. Select the range at the beginning. Select the range at the end. See, don't be afraid to bounce back and forth between what they are. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta jump in and out. If you don't like it, you gotta either, you know, constrain it to your keys. Like, say you're out of key, like we were right there. Oh, I don't like that, it's out of key. Well, just bounce over here, fit the scale. You know, bounce back, adjust the velocity. I don't know, maybe duplicate that out. Maybe bounce back over to here, hit your stretch. Bounce back down to here, hit your ramp. Ramp it down. Bring the front down. Jump back over here. Pull on your MIDI stretch marker. You know what? Maybe it sucks. We literally spent a minute doing that and we were talking about it. You know what I mean? So if you go back here, you just select your range where you want your call and response. One of the problems was those things were too short. Bring them up here. Bring them up a little bit in pitch. Now they're too high at the top. Bring that pitch down. This note sucks. What are you going to do? Make it longer? too sparse. I don't know. Adjust that, move it forward. Select these two guys. You want to come back over here to transform. I'm going to go back up to connect, which we talked about a little bit earlier. You know, maybe the problem with this thing is clear and present is just bullshit. Big points is like you're not always going to get something that is a masterpiece, but you are always going to get something that you wouldn't have gotten if you hadn't tried to use this approach. You know what I mean? One more thing to show you before I sign off here. I'm going to go back to this bass line, which I couldn't find. So, you know, get in the habit of naming shit. Just so you got an idea of what the hell you're doing sometimes, you know. Put together these 1/2/8s, and I wanted to show you more about how to use these. But dude, I'm at an hour right now, and I still got about 75% of this stuff that I could cover, and I'm going to cut it short with this one. But I'm just going to show you one more way to use the seed functionality to generate yourself some kind of rhythmic elements. Here, yeah, there we go. Over here, that's something that wasn't touched on by anybody. These filters do come in handy whenever you can't find anything, and I am not the best with the live hierarchy. Generally, when I would want to pull something like this up, an instrument I already created, I thought I tried to save it in my user library, and I did. Yeah, there it is. It's in presets, instruments, drum racks, bass 128, Foley 128, percussion 128. Those are what I'm going to end up giving you guys. I'm going to pull a Foley one up here, and we'll take a look at it real quick. 3-finger drag. Takes me a while to figure that up. You got to set it up in your preferences. A 128 is when you take a drum rack and you fill every slot in it. All 128 slots up with a different sample. Okay, this one, they're all Foley sounds. So just random car doors. clicks and stuff. Well, okay, cool. So, go here. Make another nice long clip. 8 bars. We're gonna go back down here to seed. I'm going to put this in triplets, Command Shift 3. So 30-second notes density up, voices up. Sounds like total garbage, right? Click off of it. Glossy range, lots and lots of voices, short duration, full frequency range from top to the bottom. That means it can trigger anything in that 128. Select all, click off of them to deselect everything, end the cycle, select all, turn everything off. Pick a random duration, Command L. How long is it? Let's make it a more like standardized polymetric 1.2. It's 1.5 bars long now. You can just like you can't hear nothing, right? Let's solo this bad boy. Quit jacking me off, huh? Give ourselves a little bit more volume. So just go through here and select keys and unmute them, you know? So remember, none of this is static. You're not stuck with where anything is. It's just a building point where you start, you know what I mean? And just to make this a little bit easier for me to deal with, we're going to duplicate this. We're going to go to the duplicate. We're going to crop clip the time selection. It didn't do right. So when I move left and right or up and down, it's a little bit easier to deal with. So, you know, you can go to this little cluster over here, unmute it. Sounds like shit. Put it somewhere else. little call and response on those type of elements. Let's open some of them up over here. Now we're getting somewhere. Bounce back over here to transform. Quantize current grid. It's already quantized the triplets because that's what I generated it in, so it's not moving, but the quantize function is useful because you can see it quantizing based on the amount. It gives you some looseness. Really important for establishing like more organic sounding drum combinations, you know, that aren't just like super rigid. Lower their volume or their velocity a little bit. And everything, give everything a little bit of deviation. Might be a pretty crappy example, but I think you can get the idea that you can generate totally random like percussion or note sequences or anything very quickly with these tools. And I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up today. I hope that some of you guys find some use for this information that I had, and I promise that all my videos and presentations from this point out are going to be a lot better now that I know what I'm doing.